Hello, listeners. This is Jorge-Luis Pallo, theatrically trained thespian.
And I'm Veronica.
Thank you for listening to Hurry Up and Wait LA, the artistic educational podcast, where monthly guests share their triumphs, their failures, their highs, their lows, and where to find the perfect slice of avocado toast for under $12.95.
So basically our guests share about their successes and fuck-ups in the business so you can learn from them.
And this month's guest, Brianna Brown, author, philanthropist, and star of the CW's Dynasty. You know, Veronica, she plays Claudia Blaisdell.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
Nay, or something, right? Like unicorn.
I feel like the sign language should be like unicorn.
I'm like, I don't know. It's a bit bizarre.
Oh, so yeah.
Sorry,
All right, so now I'm blushing.
Our guest was walked out. Thanks, George.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, George.
So, how was your weekend? Since you heard 10
Oh, yeah, no, how was your holiday break?
My holiday break was great. It was a lot of travels. I'm from Minnesota, so I was in the suburbs of Minnesota in the cold, the -1, and then went to Florida, so complete opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of family. It was good, great.
Yeah, how
and
long
I was
were you in
back.
Minnesota for?
It was 5 days in each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you, go and see a lot of your old friends when you go back to Minnesota?
This was more of a family.
Okay.
It was a lot of family time. So, but I have my handful of really close-knit friends that I've.
Do you still have, high school friends and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
you still stay close with?
Yeah, I have a
That's
couple.
cool.
Yeah.
Is that, refreshing when you go and get to see them?
Well, they're awesome because they all, most of my friends either went the performer route, or they went the psychology doctorate route. So those are my psychology doctorate route.
Oh,
Very specific.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, we like to analyze people. We're like, what's wrong with them, and how can I play them, and so that's kind of
It all comes around.
Just a friend circle of profilers.
Yeah, we're all very introspective. Have a lot of strong opinions.
Does that mean for a fun party when you get together, or is this judgmental?
Just silence and everybody's...
No, actually, if you look at my Instagram feed, my husband came with as well, and we dressed up in horrible Christmas outfits and went to JCPenney and took ridiculous photos together. So when we're all together, we kind of revert to being
Children.
absolute nerds. Theater needs. We revert to choir, theater, speech geeks. That's that's what we revert to.
Yeah. As it should.
Yes.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get your story. How did you become a theater geek and get into this whole crazy business called show?
That's a
Little
good
girl
one.
from Minnesota.
Gosh, it's a lot. I think. Everybody's story is different. I was very outgoing. I'll give the Cliff Notes version. I was very outgoing in elementary school and middle school. I was not. I was very shy, and so ironically, I was like, I'm going to audition for all the plays, and I was so surprised because I couldn't. I would be nervous, not surprised, but I was so nervous to read beyond the page, and you had to sing in front of all your peers, and had that weird hormonal acne, who am I don't wear cool clothes, where do I fit into this hierarchy of just life, right? I didn't make any of the middle school plays, so I was like, I'm never auditioning for anything again, I'm done.
I bet you sound like Minnie Mouse as a child.
I was done. Well, I have a lot of random voices. I don't know what they are, I don't know who they are, and I don't know what the accents
Please,
are, but
feel free.
yeah, so
We lay some of them ours out sometimes too.
yeah,
Don't worry.
I'm a unicorn.
You might be
I'm a
beautiful
unicorn. This is what
later.
unicorns do.
Unicorn.
So anyway, I decided I'm never doing that again, and it wasn't until I had a student teacher, and I was going through kind of a rough, again, middle school into high school transition period, and she said, she was a choir teacher, and she said, I really think you should audition for the High School Musical, and we had a really good high school program, and I was nervous because not very many freshmen got in, and so for some reason it was My Fair Lady, and I auditioned, and I was one of the few that got in, and then that gave me the confidence to keep auditioning. And I think the key to why I've been successful is because I've never been afraid to fall down and move despite fear. Like I had someone say you're fearless, and I'm like, oh no, oh no,
You don't know me.
You don't know me. And some things I am fearless in, but I'd say overall the biggest difference between myself and maybe some of the people I went to high school with that wanted to pursue acting and were not successful at it or decided to go a different direction. And I shouldn't say not successful, that their paths shifted.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any artist's journey is like you're either successful or not. I think it's an evolution.
Yeah.
And as to what you're really meant to do if you listen to yourself. So I think that the difference that I learned at a very young age is I took a lot of falling down and a lot of hardship and a lot of things of not getting things. And I wasn't entitled or as devastated later on to not get things. I was used to like having to be like, I didn't make that soccer team. Okay, what can I do to be better? Okay, I didn't get into that. I didn't get the lead. Okay, what can I do to do better? And I think that sometimes getting everything right away, or people that have maybe come from a conservatory background and they have this like expectation, like, well, I came from Juilliard and I should be getting, I should be working opposite Meryl Streep, and you're like, yeah, have fun, make that water commercial interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it sexual.
Cool. And by the way, we don't care about you.
Yeah.
So you're like, your ego is all over the place of like, who am I, and am I enough, and all that stuff. So I think that early on, having had those experiences, it kind of toughened me to be used to putting myself out there despite fear, and then figuring out how do I manage this. That didn't work, and then trying again and trying again and trying again, and then getting smarter along the way.
Yeah.
So I'd say that, and then I had representation bring me out from Minnesota to Los Angeles because I decided I wanted to be an actor, and I flipped through the yellow pages, and I'm like, I'm going to start cold calling agencies and find out how you do that.
Wow.
And I did, and so they
Agencies in LA?
Minnesota.
In
Minnesota.
Yeah. And so I figured out how to do that, and then I ended up working my way up. I was like, what's the best agency? And of course nobody wanted to see me then. I was like 14.
Right.
And then I figured out how to get with the best agency in Minnesota while doing theater. And then I ended up getting representation. It was very kismet that decided, I wonder if she could act. They flipped over my headshot, and they knew what school I went to, and they knew I had a good theater program, and they brought me in. And then the fact that I'd come in on my days off, and I was just like, all right, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll do it. And I'm doing it. And so I was very blessed. I was auditioning for stuff out here, pilots and like Acapulco Heat, that great pilot. It was like a bazillion years ago. It was like I had like auditioning in my swimsuit in like the middle of winter in Minnesota. It was so ridiculous. But
90s.
But I just remember that I started getting callbacks by videotape, and that was a thing that wasn't like, at least from the people I was auditioning with. This was before everyone was self-taping. Like, I know this is like before everyone had the internet on their phone. That's like it's a different world.
Back in the dark ages for you guys up
back
there.
in the day,
for you three,
like a pager was a big deal.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, let me check my pager. That's what was going on. And so I started getting callbacks and stuff by videotape, and I ended up testing for a movie that Chevy Chase. I tested for it. I was flown to Calgary, and then I was brought out for a pilot season, and I kind of like was immersed in this world of,
nice.
Wow, do I do this? Do I not? Do I continue with college? Do I not? And then I did really well, and I kind of knew that if I didn't see it through, I'd be too afraid. I would end up just getting too comfortable and like living the life that it seemed that I should live, or that's how it kind of felt, kind of boxed in. And I knew I couldn't do that, even though I wasn't really emotionally, mentally, financially ready to do that. And I ended up booking a handful of things. And then when I actually moved out to Los Angeles, it was very much sink or swim. And
where'd you first live when you moved out here?
Well, I first lived in the Oakwood, so that was like a totally different campered kind of environment, and I had a representation that like helped kind of coddle me. But when I moved here, I sublet from one of the girls that I had lived with, and I thought, she was older than me, so I was like, oh, wow, Therese, you're so awesome. And when I didn't realize like she was leaving for a reason, right? Like her life was not going well. And
Yeah,
like
I'll do that.
to give it a little bit of perspective, like I was a speech theater choir nerd who taught drug education. So like that, like I wasn't like party, and I wasn't that person, right?
Yeah.
So I come to Los Angeles. My mom drops me off. It was sketchy that she wouldn't give me the keys till my mom moved. I'm moving my stuff into my apartment by myself. There's kind of a hoarder essence to this place that I never saw. There's a shitty mattress on the floor. Awful, like a dresser that had most of the dresser drawers were broken. I had to like move area part of their fridge to the side to just put a little bit of food, what food I could afford. So. And I remember I went to go meet her. She's like, I can't wait to meet you. And I sat down with her, and I was like, oh my God, Therese, you look so great. You look, she looked very thin and fit. And I'm like, you look so great. And she's like, yeah, I've been doing a lot of coke. So anyway, I was like, welcome to LA. She's like, I'm going to show you all my friends at this party. And suddenly we're at a house party, and everyone's doing drugs, and everyone's like, feels a million years older than me because I'm 19. And I'm just like, what's happening? Like, I was like, these don't seem like speech people, I'm not gonna like stand against a wall and like do characters or something. So it was a bit eye-opening.
So then when you came out here, then you were 19.
I was 19.
And that's when you decided, this is the move, I'm living here, I'm gonna crank this out.
How was the family support with all that?
Yeah.
Well, okay, two things. So they're different things. I knew that if I didn't try, I would always regret it. Because see, I come out for a pilot season prior to that where I was more incubated. I ended up I don't know if I technically tested, but I came really close to a couple different series regular roles on Freaks and Geeks. But I was too green for them to ever like give me a role like that. But so I ended up having like a really small role in the pilot. I'm actually the first line of the pilot. Like, yeah.
Nope.
Not that that's that exciting. So I'm like saying something to like some football player or something.
I'm like, where is it?
But
On it.
before it goes down, and like James Franco and Seth Rogen and all of them are like under the bleachers doing drugs. But so I did that, and then I did this family film in Romania, and I ended up booking a commercial. It just seemed like it was like a lot, like oh my gosh, especially within 6 weeks of time.
Yeah.
And so then when I actually moved, it was a totally different ballgame. Like, obviously, my living situation was different. I didn't have any friends. My family was like, we love you, but sink or swim. And I don't come from money. I'm totally self-made.
And I'm Veronica.
And I didn't have any formal training, so I had to then figure out how do I provide a living for myself and simultaneously learn the craft so I can compete. And also navigate the crazy world of, the crazy world of Los Angeles, but then also the crazy world of just acting classes. Which was its own like set of
There was
treacherous, like
Brianna
weird
Brown.
teachers telling me to do sense memory of my mother dying in front of me every day, like that's normal. Like you should be crying hysterically. Yeah, I don't think that's healthy.
No, that's what I tell them all the time when I see them up there and they look like somebody's making them do this. Have you ever seen a young actor get up on stage and it looks like somebody's got their mother tied up in a closet somewhere with a gun to her head? Is somebody making you act right now? Because this is supposed to be fun. And I see it being as like trauma for other
I wasn't in it that day. I'm sorry. Bring it up.
Yeah.
She said young.
Yeah, I mean, I got a handful of like real doozies of teachers where I was like,
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know. And then I just didn't trust anybody. I was like, these people are crazy. And slowly I started to say, okay, I like this. This method works for me. I would take competing techniques, which would make me feel insane. But I was very much like, I need to learn as much as I can possibly learn, as fast as I can possibly learn it, because I need to be able to make a living. And then I did.
So the technique that you...
So what do you draw from?
Yeah, the technique that you like finalized on, is that what you
It's a
still use
mesh.
today? Or
I think it evolves. I think it's become like when people say like, "What exactly do you do?" I'm like, "Ow." If someone else says, "Oh, I'm doing this," I'll be, "Oh, okay, I got it. I know what your technique
That's pretty much the way I work. I mean, I come from like a.
Those are my
I tell them all the time. My favorite quote is a Bruce Lee quote. It says, "Learn everything, absorb what is good, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own."
Yeah,
you know, and so we've studied at a lot of the same places, and I went to a 4-year program, and I don't know how much of that Stanislavski stuff I still use from that 4-year program, writing down intentions on every freaking single line.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I know how to do it.
Yeah. But there's also times where I'm like, it depends on what I'm working on. Like if I'm working on, there's been times where I've had a film and I know the whole, the whole journey of the character, and I'll say, okay, cool, I know how to break that down. And also, I've worked with some of the best private coaches, so I can say, cool, I know how Nicole Kidman breaks down a script. Like I've worked with a coach. Maybe she doesn't do that right now, but I've seen how, scene by scene, how do we do this? How, especially if you're shooting out of order, what's your beat before? What's this? What's your substitution? I know how to do that. But if I'm working on a pilot audition and I got to bang out 12 pages, or like when I was on General Hospital and I had gobs and gobs and gobs of monologues, I just would learn how to take imagination work and absorb a lot of what I was doing while simultaneously memerizing as quick as possible and making really quick choices and being bold.
Well, you shoot how many episodes in a day for a soap opera too?
It just depends. I mean, when I was on General Hospital years ago, the heaviest my storyline got was having to have, and I led the majority of these scenes, was 100 pages in a week. So I remember. I kept it, and I had acne.
Repeat that for the young ones.
I had 100 pages of almost all straight monologues. Right. And so, I had to prep. And the thing is, now soap operas shoot even faster from when I was on it. So, I remember if I had alcohol the night before, if it was a Sunday and I had a glass of wine. Not that I'm a big drinker, but if I had a glass of wine, it would affect my Monday. Only because my memory would not be as sharp. And you had to be so on it because you had a take. And then they would give you your technical stuff was very much you better know it, and then say, so here you go here and that, and stand and then walk and then go there, and then you're going to talk here and then turn out. Nervous is not okay, cool. And then you're looking at it like for some reason, yep, I got it. And then you're like, I hope I remember. One take. And if you don't remember, you're just kind of staring a little bit.
Next layer.
Yeah, when I was a villain, so I just would stare. I stared so much. I'm like, people don't listen and stare. I'm like, yeah, Brianna, we know. Just stare at the sky. I was like, oh no,
do you have any? For memorization, do you have any technique that you advise? Or? What do you do to memorize? 100 pages, that's a lot.
That's intense.
Yeah. Well, I try to prep at least a day in advance if I have that luxury. So when I would have, for example, with Dynasty, that was the most recent show that I was on. Not that my stuff was that heavy. There were certain episodes that were more heavy, but in comparison. I would.
Character work in there.
Yeah, thank you. I would on the weekends try to memorize everything for that week, so that I have it kind of gestating. And I've made choices, but I'm also really fluid with it. So I'm a big believer in having fluidity within the rigidity, because often I'll discover something, I'm like, that's what that meant, or okay. And I think that often, I'm kind of a big believer of that in my life, to try and have set as much as I can, set a great structure, but then also allow for things to unfold. So I'll set it, I'll sit there and I'll kind of do imagination work while I'm memorizing and kind of understanding the scene, and then I kind of put it to the side, and then the night before I'll make sure that I go over it I'm a little OCD. So I go over it a couple times, okay, I know that I've got it down if I can do it perfectly 6 times in a row. And I'm like, great, and now I can let it go. And then maybe I'll do it a couple times with another person if you have that luxury. Like on soaps, and even a lot of times on sets, you just, not everybody wants to run lines. So like, or they have their own weird thing about it, or they don't want to work on it too much, or especially on soap operas. Like I was surprised, like one of the women that I worked with a lot, and she'd been on since she was like itty bitty. She was just not going to read lines with me, and I remember being like, oh my god, how am I going to? You're like my main person, and I just, it's so much I have to say all the time, and it's a slightly different version from what I said yesterday. So like, but then I just had to adapt. Yeah.
Adapt and overcome. I tend to retype everything I do. I'll sit there, I will retype a 90-page script if I fucking have to. That's what I did for Motherfucker with the Hat. I'll just sit there, I'll retype the entire thing, and then I will say it out loud, but now into my phone and play it over and over and over again as I'm hiking, and just like embed it in my brain like I'm creating a groove. That's how I start memorizing things now.
I'm very hands-on. I have to write out all of my stuff, all the scenes that I'm in, and then I'm reading everybody else's scenes. I'm like, so I know what's happening. I'm like, oh, that's what they said about my character. Okay, that's relevant. Make sure that happens. And then I started taking out the recording lines as well, and just playing it on repeat when you go for walks or driving Postmates. It's a good way to make money. Driving Postmates.
We're not sponsored by them, so please don't mention it.
I just remember that I started so you're a side gadget.
I used your name. Hashtag Postmates. Contact me.
Oh gosh.
Well, I got a question. Okay, so I was always like asking this. Okay, give me a minute. I need my caffeine.
Back in the day,
Are you three?
So,
a pager was a big
how did you
deal.
assimilate? Minnesota's way different than so I asked it because we have a lot of young listeners, especially girls. How do you deal with the pressure? Because obviously you have casting, you have to keep a job, you have so many a-holes here probably hitting on you. So how did you personally kind of just stay sane, pretty much?
Wow, that's a big. Wow, do I do this? Do I not? Do I continue? Okay, that's a big question, and I think it's very relevant. And I think kind of knew that if I didn't okay, so see it through, twofold. One, for the guys in the audience, guys that are listening. It's really important to be really supportive of young women and women in the entertainment industry, because there are so many like pitfalls, and we need those guys. We need good guys, good guy friends. I know that it was difficult for me in my early 20s specifically, because I felt like all the women I met were in competition with me. It felt like a very negative, catty, competitive environment. It felt like a heightened version of high school, okay, which wasn't positive from my perspective. Some of high school was awesome, but so it was this kind of like, wow, this feels very daunting. It was also very daunting, and I think men can relate to this too, is you don't have anything to back up your passion. You don't have any credibility. You don't have any credits. And then the credits that you do get, you're treated most of the time like you're second rate, right? Whether the series regular is jealous that you're attractive, or they just don't want to deal with you. They can tell you're nervous and they're annoyed, and you're if the producers have a thing for you and they're staring at you or wanting to touch you, and you're like, just leave me alone. Going into rooms where you feel objectified, or you're just nervous trying to figure out, how do I do this while simultaneously you're like, I need to pay my bills. I gotta I know that I only have X amount of time to actually get to this audition and do a good job, and did I prep for it enough? And you don't even know your craft yet. You don't even know who you are yet. So I think that my early 20s were difficult in that, finding my tribe of like-minded people who are healthy. I went to a lot of people who I was like, oh, we're friends. And then I'm like, and now you're a meth addict. Awesome. And you're in my house. So what do I do with that? And do I do I get sucked down the toilet with this person? Well, you know, there were a lot of side. Well, I didn't work a lot of side jobs. I was lucky because I ended up started making a living early on. But of the side jobs that I did do, I was like, these people are not like they weren't my tribe. Like they weren't ambitious. They were like going and drinking all the time, or they were like partying all the time and wildly delusional about their careers and older than me. And I'm like, it's not going to happen, dude. Like you can't be like doing what you're doing at the age that you're doing it, and you're like, but I'm going to get some headshots. And I'm like,
I'm 19 and I know better than you. Like I'm like, I know nothing and I know way more than you do. So I think that you know, to kind of go back to your question, it was a journey, and it was a journey of learning how to dodge predatory men. It was a journey of learning how to become an adult, because I don't think 19 was the best age on my own to be doing that. But I'm stubborn, and I decided.
Did you have good mentors that were helpful?
No, I was no. I mean, I had a I had a manager who was like, who would say things. Well, I had an acting teacher who would say, "You can never be too rich or too thin." Like, and I was like, "Great." And she was always on me about my weight because I was sad and I didn't know how to like. I've been an athlete. I wasn't like, you know, let me do my Pilates. I was like, I'm just running up treacherous. What is this? And I mean, I can't eat spaghetti all the time. Like, I just had a lot to learn. I was like, I gotta figure all of this out. That most people have that incubated period of time where they're in college, and I was having to figure it out on my own, and not like having great people around me to like be like, do this, do that, and then also like having a manager who's like, you know what, just for everything going, wear black. I'm like, okay, or you know what, go and act like you fuck up. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I'm already feeling like I'm going to be attacked, so now I'm supposed to like be like encouraged being attacked. If I get the job, then I'll definitely be attacked. So that sounds awesome. So it was a lot of like, and the majority of the roles I would go out for were much more sexual than I was comfortable being sexual. You know, I wasn't the girl who was the cheerleader. I wasn't the girl who was like the popular girl. I wasn't the girl who was like on the dance squad and super comfortable with her body at a young age. And then suddenly all the roles I'm going out for is like, and you're a lesbian, and you kill somebody with your kryptonite kisses, and you are like, you know, and you have to do a love scene, and you're doing lots of love scenes, and you're of course you're a prostitute. I mean the number of prostitutes. Like I was like, I said it one time, like in my early 30s, I said, you guys, if I play another fucking prostitute, I will literally be a prostitute. But my roles I'm getting in my characters get paid a lot more than I'm making on this job. So if I'm supposed to be high end, then let's you know. And then suddenly I'm playing a mom, and they're like, she's just always a mom, you know, she just is a mom. And I'm like, oh, well, okay.
How was that transition?
I mean, whatever.
Because I've noticed that too, just in my career. Is like I've had a similar effect with always being
prostitutes.
Not the prostitute, but being a gangbanger. Okay. Let's face it, for Latinos, for Latino males, for a long time, it was always
that and cops.
Yeah, that bangers, cops, or soldiers.
Yeah, I don't even sign up for audition anymore. What is it? I got it.
I got it. Never been in the military, but yet I walk down the street and people are like, so where did you serve? I don't know. I relate. But how was that transition then, going from prostitute to mom to now?
Well, it wasn't really that black and white. I mean, I've been very, I feel like because I trained and learned so many different techniques, and just the way that I've always been the person where, like, if the role was meaty and gritty, I would have more confidence that I would go in and kill it. Like I was like, and I mean, sometimes I'd be nervous and I wouldn't, but a lot of times I would play certain roles that like had more depth, or I would add more depth to a role that was maybe more surface, and so that served me to be able to to pivot and to morph into different types of roles. You know, I think there was a certain point where I made a conscious choice to be like, you know, I don't want to, like, I remember my team like, no, it's a huge movie with this big director. I'm like, and I'm in my underwear giving a guy a blowjob? I'm like, no. had 100 pages of almost all I'm going to use that in my reel? And so, like, I have a resume. Like, I don't care. And at that point, I was like, you get like, it's not, like, and that's a different thing, too, as actors. Like, when you're first starting out, you're like, I just want to work, and I just want this and that. And then later to realize that you're the CEO of your own corporation, and you are the one that's in charge, and you're the one who's saying, that doesn't work for me, this is what I want. You know, and you're having to have the foresight because you realize that the people who have been your business people maybe aren't as business savvy as you are now, or you need to be. And you're having to think 5 steps ahead for your career because they're just thinking immediate. And they're thinking, cool, how do I keep my mortgage and my kids in private school? And you're thinking, how do I make sure that I have integrity and longevity? And how do I make sure that I have a career that I'm proud of and also that I'm not sacrificing other parts of my life for? Because I saw that too. I had older actresses. You know, as I became more of who I am, I was then attracting people into my life who were of better and better quality. And I'm a big believer in that. Like you attract where you're at. And so I had older, you know, really beautifully established older women make comments to me who'd worked a ton, in their lives, make comments like, "Don't put off having kids for your career," or you know, that was a big one by a couple different women who had regret around that, or women just kind of like giving me little tips like, "Don't ever do anything to your face. Watch your calories. Don't do anything to your face. You won't work." You know, like I would. Yeah, no, thank you. But I had one. I remember it being at this General Hospital fan event. It was like after I'd gone from the show, and there was like all these all these older General Hospital like people, and we're standing in line waiting, and this much older woman in her, I don't know, 60s or so, she's like, "What do you do to stay grounded?" You know, she's this kind of this character actress, and she's always working, and she's like, "I'm really into pottery," and I told her, I'm like, "Well, I have a nonprofit, and I'm always creating things," and she's like, "Yeah, you got to do things to stay grounded. You got to have other things to keep you grounded." And she's like, "Don't do anything to your face. Watch your calories. Don't do anything to your face." It was like the second time I heard that, right? And then what was awesome is then there's this woman that walks in, and you could tell that in her heyday she was like the gorgeous one in the height of like soap operas, right? And then maybe I'll do it. Face looked crazy, boobs looked crazy. She looked emaciated. She looked crazy. Lips looked crazy. It was just, and she walked up because they knew each other. They'd worked together, right? And she, and you know, one could age into playing character actors, and the other one, I don't know what she's doing, but she's, you know, and anyway, so I just remember she turned to me and she's like, "See what I mean?"
I was imagining
and I was like, "I got it. No taken. No, thank you." I won't do that. So I think it's a real journey. I think that like what has really kept me grounded, you know, to go back to what you're saying, because I do think for women, and I think for men, because I believe that for men it's different. There's more of a Peter Pan syndrome that is the big pitfall in Hollywood. And I think it can stunt men from evolving into all who they are, and that's then can sometimes make evolving as an actor and roles make sense. Like I've seen certain guys who are like always like the pretty guy, you know, and then I'm watching them getting older. I'm like, dude, it's not cute anymore. Like you need to be able to play a man. I need to believe you could play a CEO. Like you can't. Your car door is like dented all the time. I'm like, it's not cute anymore. Like it's time for you to like.
Get rid of the futon.
I had a conversation.
It's time to get rid of the futon, buddy. You're 40.
I was like, get rid of that dresser with the broken dresser drawer. Like, you know, no, but I remember having a conversation with this guy. He's this gorgeous, like, model type actor guy that in his 20s, he solely booked stuff based on his looks, and you know that's fine. But it was, and he was talented enough, but like it didn't translate later, and so then he had to like be catching up. But then he wasn't. But then he didn't know how, because he himself wasn't yet all that he could be, and being a man. Just like I think like when women are like not quite who they want to be, and then it's hard for them to transition into playing moms or playing lawyers, because all they've done is play ingenues, and they're like, I'm just used to being the girlfriend. It's like, well, now work on 1,000 pages of dialogue as a doctor,
right?
And do you know what I mean? And go. And that's very like, oh, but that's not what I've had to do. So I really do believe that it's important to keep evolving as a person so that your art will continue to evolve. Because
constantly challenge yourself.
Constantly do things that are fearful, that make you afraid.
Get out of your comfort zone. What do you do? What do you do to get out of your comfort zone?
Because I felt like I'm always taking risks. I'm always like, I wrote a book. I'm like, I've never written a book. I'm writing a book. That's what's happening, and I'll figure it out.
I'm working through the book right now.
And I'm like, there's just been things where I'm like, I've written a pilot, or I've produced I've produced projects, or I've produced stage projects, or I started a nonprofit basically because I didn't like how other nonprofits.
Let's talk about the new Hollywood.
So to kind of go back to what you're saying,
finish the thought, and then let's go.
Well, whatever.
Because I think this is important because, like you, I had to grow up really early, so I had your version where I came to this town, and it's like, yeah, you're a douchebag. Why are you doing coke? I'm not here to work. I'm not going to spend $50 on every single drink hitting on 20 women because I got an audition tomorrow. I was that guy, and I was always the least popular guy in all the roommates. So, but same thing. A lot of pretty models, Hispanic models, that now are not working because they just didn't grow up. And all that. And now I asked you because I have a friend, won't mention her name, but she's dealing with that right now. I'm trying to help her. It's like, listen, I get it. You was casting, but you're 27. You got to start transitioning now. You can't just keep playing the high school because you get casted on that, because eventually that won't work. And it's hard for her. I see her struggling for that.
Well, and I think that where you can take like personal responsibility for that is like, how do you choose to train? To what level do you choose to train? If you're going to try and be in the Olympics, you're not like, you're going to be like, I'm going to be an Olympic runner. You're not like, I'm going to sometimes jog. So what do I do with that? No, you're going to age out.
I get sucked down into
skill.
You actually will never.
There were a lot of
an Olympic runner. So if it's like how what habits do you have? What habits do you create? How do you view the world? How do you spend your time? And now more than ever, it's so easy to waste time. It's so easy to waste your time. There's so many things that are now like the norm, the social norm. Oh yeah, I'm just I'm listening to FaceTime Live. Which is this is good. You might be learning something. But you might be spending a ton of time on things that are not important and not urgent, and they're not actually what your values are, and they're not really what your main goals are. And then you're like, you look back, you're like, well, today I just didn't get much done, and it's hard. Then you get all sucked into some other person's baloney, and you're like spending hours talking to them when they just need to go to a fucking therapist, and you need to just be like, cool, I love you. I'm here when you want to work through that. But I can't listen to you repeat
the same
problem. But I think in my 20s, because I wanted to have friends and I wanted to feel camaraderie, I would spend so much time just trying to save people or trying to inspire people. Like, you're so amazing, you have so much potential, when in reality I needed to be like, always on me about my weight. Brianna, you're so amazing, you have so much potential, now go! That's what I needed to be doing, but I
put the mask on yourself first.
But I was afraid to be alone. I think I was afraid, what is that? I don't know what it looks like over there. I don't know. And I think a lot of it is worthiness. How much do you feel worthy? And so you have to, growth is uncomfortable. Being a better version of yourself is uncomfortable. Doing things that you've never done before is uncomfortable. You have to get, I believe, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, being like in the fear. You have to get, and I think learning how to be like, okay, is this fear because this is really just not where I'm supposed to go? Is this fear because this is where I'm supposed to go, but now I have to grow into a bigger and better version of myself? And that is an internal differentiation that takes a while to figure out. And I'm always pushing myself. I'm a big believer in goal setting. I'm a big believer in
taking time to figure out what do I want now, what is part of my mission, what is part of my purpose. We go back to, you asked me about the new Hollywood, and I think like part of how I survived Hollywood when I was younger was at a certain point I realized, well, two things. I realized at 25 that if the saying is you are who you surround yourself with, and I looked at everyone I surrounded myself with, I said, you guys, if I play another then I gotta up my game. And I knew I needed in a decade I want to have children and not have to choose between having a family and a career. Get paid a lot more than I'm making on this job. And I worked. I'm supposed to be high end. And some of it was working not smart, and some of it was working smart. And they're like, she's just always a mom. I was learning along the way how do I work smart. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. And whether that be at my craft, whether that be at like in personal relationships, like I just am like I gotta, or my personal life and my professional life. How do I do better at that? And I think goal setting is a huge part of that. But so let's face it, for Latinos, that was a big thing. And then also, I realized because I had just so many crazy, stupid experiences with like not good men in the industry that at a certain point I was like, and I'm done. I'm no longer networking with men. I'm no longer going and having a coffee or like let's have dinner. Like no, we'll have tea and in the day, tea in the day, and I'm not. And I had so many different crazy experiences where I'm like, I remember this one indie film that I really wanted, and like William H. Macy was in it, and it was an amazing role. It was this girl who was quadriplegic. Well, she was like gold digger, and then she was quadriplegic, and then she suicide. It was just like a killer role. I was like, this is, and it was between me and a couple like people that were really namey, and I really wanted it. And I remember he's like, okay, great, I auditioned. He's like, I want to meet you. And I went and I sat down and I met with him, and I was like, and I didn't realize like that served me. I'm like, oh, you want to meet with me? Okay, so here's who I am. Okay, and so we're talking about like things that are deep and this and that. And I thought we had the best time. And then later he's like, you're just not this character. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not a gold digger, because I'm an actress. Like, I'm like, I played Lady Director. I'm like, and I'm in my underwear. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I was just like baffled. I'm like, I'm like, do you want me to like show you like, hey, let's get over there? Like, I'm like this character, and then I become quadriplegic. And what do you want me to do?
Like, they were going to paralyze you. They were going to.
Yeah. So, but I like had to learn along the way, and that was like nothing. It's not like he was doing anything inappropriate, but there were enough where people did, and there were enough where I had situations that were very like damaging and traumatizing. And I think for women, you have to figure out like how do you navigate it? How do you navigate that, and then how do you bounce back and not take it personally, and how do you create your own material so you're not dependent upon men or women that might be pro women or might not be, to be able to not have your livelihood and your creativity and your artistry be based on other people. So, and now more than ever, that it's like that's such a you can do that. Whereas
technology has given us that gift.
Back in the day, that was like really actors did not create their own material. So but being at that point, I decided I needed to create a like-minded tribe, and I started finding like-minded. Well, prior to that, I facilitated Artist Way groups by Julia Cameron, which I don't know if you know the book, but I unofficially facilitated a bunch of groups, basically to help myself. And I was like, I'm having a hard time through this, so I'm going to help all of you to help me. And so I did that over and over and over again. And then it evolved into a goal setting book with a friend of mine, and then another friend of mine, and then it turned into like 6 or 7 people. And then that slowly evolved to more and more women who I'd found were like-minded. They were not just artists, but they had a give back aspect. They were like they were passionate. They really had a more than a narcissistic reason of being in the industry. It wasn't like I just want to be famous, It was like I'm an artist. And as I found that like-minded group of people. And then I started to like, I remember at one point I said, we need to do something bigger. We need to like have a give back aspect. And then I saw how, because I wanted to collaborate with a couple nonprofits, and I saw the way that they dealt with their donor base and the restrictions of their donor base. And my grandparents had a very small nonprofit that they helped run in Minnesota. So I kind of knew that version of it, and then I saw like kind of everyone gets super dolled up, kind of, a little more smoke and mirror nonprofit. And I saw that, and I saw the way that it was about their donor base, and I didn't like that. And so I didn't like that I had to conform how I wanted to give back in a creative way. And so I said, screw you. So then I went on LegalZoom, and I'm like, and so now this is going to become a 501c3 nonprofit. And they're like, I figured it out. And so then that became, I don't know what she's doing, but it's been 12 years. I formed an organization. It's called The New Hollywood, and we support socially conscious storytellers and change makers. We have various initiatives. We have like a mentorship program day, so it's like a nice condensed way of meeting industry professionals and like really getting clear on what you want. We have a fiscal sponsorship program. We have a microgrant program. We have like different give back aspects, and it's been awesome. So that's what's kept me like sane. Yeah, with the foundation being goal setting and accountability.
And I think also giving back. To help you.
Your work ethic is insane. And how do you find the freaking time? When do you sleep?
In my 20s, I didn't.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say I slept in my 20s. I like you're good.
I'm good for the rest of my life.
In my 20s, I was always working. But it was out of necessity. I was always working. And if I wasn't working, I was reading. I was prepping for an audition. And then in my 30s, as I started to be like, I want more work-life balance, I then prioritized having more downtime, having more free time, having, and I think getting to the point where, I put my 10,000 hours in as an actress, I wasn't having to spend gobs and gobs and gobs of time, like, getting good at my craft or getting good at auditions. I was like, yeah, you want me to audition for this? So you need me to on set? Okay, you got it. You want this? Cool, I got this. You want that? Not ever, like, I then could take the lead. In, like, a nice way, not like a, but I had confidence in, like, yeah, okay, cool, I got that. So I know how to do that. So now I'm going to do this. And so then I'll focus on that. And then it's like, okay, once that becomes a habit, now I'm going to focus on this. So that's kind of how I can time management, because there are other things that become like more second nature.
How do you do personal goal setting? That's something that I'm trying to...
Well, I have a book, George.
I know you do. Just tell us about the book.
All right. I was like, are you stuck? Where?
I'm there. All right, here's the book there.
That's my book.
You actually do a good job when she calls you on.
No, there's all mines right there for 2018. We have the big New Hollywood meeting
for the year.
On Sunday. Just so we wrap up, how do we join? How do we go? It's exclusive. Don't you like young people? How do you get involved with?
Oh my gosh, so many good questions. So you have to be invited in to be an official member. Why? Because I've had. I'm writing a book. That's what's happening.
This is
but that being said, you can be involved in the different programs that we have for the public or that we have online by signing our pledge. So if you go to thenewhollywood.org, sign our pledge, you'll be invited. You'll be kept up in our newsletter. And I don't bombard people with our newsletter because I get so annoyed when people bombard me with newsletters. So it's just like quarterly, and it's inspiring, and it's also like educational. And then it's like, hey, I'm doing this, and here's a great way to like be involved and kind of get to know the people, and then that's how most people end up joining. Yeah.
We can move the segment without that information.
Yeah.
Now, how about the book? Tell us about the book.
Okay, so through the years and through a lot of reading, I've used different tools within the organization to help with goal setting and to help with accountability, because that's a real foundational pillar of the organization. I'm a big believer that you can't lead unless you lead by example. And I'm also a big believer that as artists, it's really important to make sure that we are full, because we have to give so much. there's so much giving out, there's so much rejection, and so much of, I think, why some people are really successful and some people aren't really successful is how they handle the disappointment and the trauma that comes along with being in the entertainment industry. I think that knowing how to act is
I'm going to be an Olympic runner. You're not
the base. It's like you got to get that down. Then you got to learn how to have really strong communication skills, conflict resolution skills, and how to navigate people who are toxic, on your work environment. That's the big one.
I worked in a couple of restaurants where I was just like, I'm just here to work, and then I'm leaving.
Yeah, and then how do you kind of like dust that off? And I'm talking about even on sets. I've been on so many sets where I'm like, oh great, so this lead actor is a total asshole, and they like to mind fuck people, and I'm new, and they want to, and I don't know what his deal is with women or what his thing is, and so he's kind of underplaying me, and this is my first scene with them, and then I'm like, oh, and then I have to be polite, but then I handle it with grace, and then he turns, and he's like, oh yeah, great. I'm like, if I had gone the wrong way, if I didn't know how to handle that, I could have been paralyzed, right? So, the acting stuff, I'm like, I got to know my lines, I got to know the character, I got to be able to bang that out a bunch of different ways, and have directors that give me great feedback and maybe terrible feedback, and I handle this, and and I think so much of it is then learning people skills. How do you manage people and what's going on with them, and maybe that person's a drug addict, and you're like, great, I'm so excited to be working with you. Or I've worked on, I did a pilot where everything's like, anyways, always so tense on a pilot because there's so much money and everybody's like getting scrutinized for everything. And we had this director
that's what I needed to be doing, but
he was a totally different person than when I auditioned for it. And he just started he would just yell, and he's just like yelling and yelling. And I was working with a kid, and I'm like, if this kid shuts down, my storyline's screwed and I'm replaced. I'm like, I can't handle that. And so I remember thinking, cool, how do I handle this? Because the producers aren't handling it. He's freaking out. There was a little person that was playing the for the kids stand-in. He's yelling at her, and I'm like, how am I supposed to? And so I just remember I took some really deep breaths, and I just imagined getting really grounded, and just like that, and I envisioned the entire room just getting super calm, and just like, and then everything was good. I was like, cool, now we'll go. So I was like, and the kid's good. All right, let's go. But I was like, I had to in that moment take that entire room. It's like when you're on stage, you're on a huge stage, and you're like filling up the stage, and you're like, I'm going to sing a huge thing that's supposed to make everybody cry, or whatever these things are. And I'm like, okay, now I got to, and then not take it in, and not make me nervous, and be like, all right, this is what we're doing, and everything's calm. And this little girl, we're just fine. And she's playing, and he calmed down. So I'm like, maybe I'm mad, maybe I'm a unicorn, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just like coincidence, but I was really, I've had so many different experiences where I'm like, it is more about how you handle people. And really, I've realized that it's not that other people are necessarily assholes. It's that they don't know how to handle their own fear and insecurity. And so if you view it from that lens, like, oh, they're just scared too. Oh, they're insecure too. Oh, that woman, she's freaking out because she feels like she's 5 pounds too heavy because she's getting comments online, and so she's starving, and she's like neurotic, and God knows what other crazy things, and she hasn't slept because she has, she's working 12, 15-hour days, so of course she's not going to be like, so tell me about you. She doesn't
care. It's about not taking anything personally.
No,
she can't take anything personally.
No, and so to be able to go into those environments where you don't know what's going to be thrown at you, and you're so grounded and just pleasant. But then you're like, you're easy to work with. And I've gotten so many jobs repeatedly, from the same people, because I'm easy to work with, or I'm good to work with. That doesn't mean I don't stand up for myself, because I definitely stand up for myself. But I've done it in a way that's...
I had so many different crazy stories.
There is a way to do it. And
sometimes there's not. Sometimes I've had certain people where I was like, this is unacceptable. Because nobody was telling this person who's insane that like you don't wave around a gun and threaten to like hit
and it was me and a couple like people that were really mean.
Is this hypothetical?
No, literally. Like I remember I was on this short, but this guy was a huge actor who had been in some huge movie. I forget. It was like an Oscar nominee. He was a huge actor, and I was like, I don't know if he's just on drugs or what. But the director, the female director, was green, and she didn't know how to handle him, and the DP did not handle him. I was in my like early to mid 20s, and he was just freaking out. I think he was like a deer hunter or something. He was in some huge movie, and I don't know if he's like being method or I don't know. But he like had a gun, and it was a fake gun, and he's like, he's yelling and screaming. This is not even part of the scene. Yelling and screaming and all this stuff. And I remember I had my gun, and it was fake. And I'm like, yeah. So I remember being like, I'm within arm's length, right? Like I can like run away, and he and I was just like, you need to stop. This is unacceptable. I'm like a good 2 decades younger than this guy. I'm like, this is unacceptable. Stop it right now. The DP's doing nothing. The director's doing nothing. And then he kind of calmed down. He kicked something. And he took off. And I was like, I don't know. But like, I had another guy who I found out. This was of course like low budget movie. It was a horror movie. And I found out that he was notorious for finding someone on the set to pick on and to like just go after. And I was like, great, he's a crazy maker. And I knew that from Julie Cameron's August Way. I was like, great, he's a crazy maker. All right. And I watched him come after me, and he started to come after me, and I was like, oh no, he didn't. And it's like, how do I handle this? How do I handle this? And I remember I went to the director and the producers. They were so excited to have him because he was some sort of horror something person that was important. And I was like, great, so I'm going to have to deal with this. Again, this guy is like a decade plus older than I am. And I had to put him in his place, in the middle of the scene. I was like, this guy is so crazy. I have to like literally humiliate him. And this is unacceptable in front of the whole crew. This is unacceptable. You don't get to talk to me like this. And I was like, oh, he's that bully that needs another bully to be like, you're fine. Okay, we're cool. I'm like, this is crazy.
You want to go get a beer?
Then he was fine. So I think like a lot of it is, again, you got to know how to act, but then you got to like be like, how do I navigate these insane people who are drawn to this business? And then the more you do it, you actually more and more competent people you end up dealing with.
Now, before we're going to do the exercise. The exercise is from the book.
Did you? Yeah, I asked you before, and I forgot to.
How much time do you have?
As much as we want. What about I got 30 minutes? So we're gonna.
30 minutes.
Well, we're not going to do a 30-minute.
We got about 30 minutes. But no, I just want to ask one last question.
Yeah, ask questions.
I wish.
Do we want to ask any questions from there first?
We're going to get to them.
We want to do everything. So then, if the exercise is like, okay,
terrible.
We do this? Yeah, exactly. We'll see. But no one sees me waving from over there. Okay, so what advice would you tell your 20-year-old self or your 19-year-old self moving to this now if you can go back in time?
And so now this is going to become a 501c3 nonprofit. And like that, and I figured it out. And so then,
had I known the options I had, I would have transferred from the school I was in to like USC. Because I got into USC, but I didn't even think about like transferring to do that. And I would have done that so that I would have had a few more years to just have like to grow up and to get some training and to just enjoy being young. I wasn't enjoying like when other friends were like, I'm in college and drinking, I'm like, I have an injured back and I'm telefundraising. And I can't afford the heater, and I'm fat and having to like, I'm like, and I don't know how to feel better. But I'm going to go and play a prostitute audition that I'm not going to get, like, it's just like, I didn't. So I think that like
I slept in my 20s.
I would have taken the time to finish school.
In my 20s,
I learned other things along the way. I jokingly, not jokingly, have it in my bio know that that I have my PhD in life school and hard knocks, and I think that what I would also say for maybe people that don't have that option or that's not where they feel called to go, I think the biggest thing is really look at how you're spending your time, how you're spending your money, and how you're spending, who you're spending it with. And is that really what is best for you? And I think it's so easy, and I say this because it's easy at any age, to just get in the gerbil wheel and just do what's automatic or do what other people are doing and get sidetracked from what it is that's really important to you, what you really want, what is really feels right to you. And certain people are supposed to be on that path long term. Sometimes they go their own way and then they come back. I'm very blessed to have a lot of friendships that are decade plus,
we had the big new Hollywood meeting,
but that doesn't mean we're always riding side by side the whole time. And so some of that's this person's got to go off and learn their lessons and do what they got to do. Cool. And then how do I stay true to myself? And I think that's the biggest thing. How do you stay authentic to yourself? And when it's so wonky, because I just remember in my 20s, I'm trying to figure out who I am, and yet all I'm doing is playing somebody else. Who the hell am I? And then I had someone say, "Well, you should volunteer." I'm like, volunteer? I can't pay my bill. I'm worried about my bill. Volunteer. I'm like, if I'm not auditioning, and trying to learn my craft and do all this stuff, but I think then it's
earn money.
I know, but I also the other thing that I would really, really hit on, and I do hit on it in my book, softly, but I hit on it, is really important as an artist to know how to handle your finances. Knowing how to handle your finances, knowing how to handle your time. The people that are successful feel worthy of having money. Right? They don't have it and then blow it. You'll see that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's I got this thing, and then they're broke again. But that's because they didn't feel worthy of it. So they didn't spend it right, or then all their friends are like, money, or then you have the friends that feel obligated. Well, you're doing well, so you should pay for me.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
I'm like, cool. No, you can. I know I'm a Sears regular right now, but I'm not always going to be in this. Has to last me till my next job if it gets picked up. If no.
There's also keeping up with the Joneses, man. Kevin Hart has a whole bit about that. Yeah. Going out with famous basketball players and they're buying bottles, and he's like, he gets the check. I didn't order that.
Yeah. I remember I had a girlfriend. And we're really good friends now. But at the time, I couldn't keep up with her. I couldn't financially keep up with her. I couldn't. She was like we're going to Vegas and we're doing this and I'm going to Mexico, and she came from money, and I was like, I'm not going to ask you to pay for me, because that's just not in my integrity. And two, I can't take time off of work, and I can't afford to be doing that. Yeah. So I think getting really smart with your money, living not beyond your means, but living below your means. Living in a creative ways that it's you're being really smart, so that you're thinking long term. So that when you have a chunk of money, you're not I'm going to buy a brand new car. You're no, I'm going to invest in a condo, or I'm going to think long term. I'm going to think. It's not like the golden ticket where I'm going to get that pilot, and then everything's going to open up and everything's going to be great. You're like, if that pilot goes,
if it ever sees air. So if you don't get recast at the table read. How about that?
And then the other thing I would say that's really important is knowing how to really handle your time management, because the more successful you become, and if you're looking at what the life is of a series regular, it's somebody that knows how to manage their time.
and you're always working.
I'm like, I can't handle
You're not
that.
like,
so
I'm not going to party.
How do I handle this?
Maybe on hiatus. But you are working 12 hours a day. You better fit in a workout. You better get grounded because you're going to be, around God knows what.
At her.
So whatever your routine is to self-care, you need to be constantly doing self-care because your body is like having so much makeup and you're like, all of that stuff. And you have to then be like, cool, I just shot 12, 14 hours Monday through Friday into Saturday, and I need to go do press. And I need to be memorized each day.
But I was like, I had to
and so it's like it's not what people teach you. It's the people that are good at it are like, I remember so many jobs where I'm flying back and forth because so much doesn't even shoot here, where I'm like trying to be home to have my personal life, jumping on a flight, getting up at 4 a.m. to be able to fly out because of the time difference, to hit a wardrobe fitting, to memorize, to maybe work out if I'm not exhausted enough, make sure I eat well enough to have energy, and also be able to maintain what I need to maintain, to then get up on a totally different time zone, to be at 4 a.m, which is 1 a.m, my previous time. And you just have to be like, and you got to know how to manage your time, and so as artists, it's like, I just want to be creative, and you're like, that's like only like that. It's only that much. It's only that much.
I've learned more of that more and more in my later years, because I was very much the same way when I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, I first moved out here, and I had a lot of friends, and there was a lot of birthdays every month.
Oh my God. The amount of money I spent on birthday presents. I was like, bitch, I love you, but you do not get a present.
Right?
No, that is not a budget priority. I am sorry.
Spending $50 every time you go out for somebody,
I'm like, we're going to go on a walk.
Yeah. How about I buy you a coffee for your birthday? Happy birthday.
Seriously.
Free yoga in the park birthday party. How about that?
Not my friends anymore. Back down there. But let's get to the exercise. So let's run this down. What are we doing?
Cool, I'll do a fun one. Not one of those annoying ones.
There's not.
Are these in the book? Oh, you were
There's one in the book.
Okay, cool.
So just to kind of like give an overview of how this works, it's not like it's a long, tedious thing of me talking or writing. It's kind of explaining what the book is, and then just all these different exercises that I found over the years work for me. And it's been beta tested within the organization for, the organization's been on for 12 years, and I've been doing different versions of it for like 5 years. So this is it's been tested internally, and this is the first time it's available for non-members. So part of what I'm a big believer in is taking the time to get still, to get really honest with yourself about what you want, right? Because it shifts. Shifts over time, and so we do a lot of like stream of consciousness exercises, and it just kind of gets you really like focused on what are your goals for this year, and what is your mission.
And I remember being like, I'm a bit armed.
And to kind of go, I think I have a good story for this, so I feel like sharing some of the shows with you.
And he and I was just
when I look back,
he's all proud of his book now.
He's like, I got a book.
I'm ready to go.
I don't know what you guys
I got a book, guys.
I'm like, this is unacceptable.
What page are we in?
Stop that right now.
I'm not there yet.
I'm not there yet. And then he calmed down.
But
You can take your time. Sorry.
Okay, it'll be 40.
I don't know.
But like what I found,
guy who I found out,
like the reason manifesting your mission for a title is a pretty bold title. Just like the title of my nonprofit, The New Hollywood. That's a bold title. But a lot of it has been said or done because it was kind of like kismet, synchronistic. When I first started the organization, it was just women, and I remember in one of the meetings, all the women are being really supportive of their goals, and they're like, helping each other. And one of the women said, wow, this is like, we're all like so supportive of each other, we're like really helping each other out. She's like, we're like the new Hollywood.
A decade plus older than I am.
And it like kind of struck me, and I'm like,
that's him in this place.
Yeah.
In
it's a
the middle
bold
of the
title.
like,
I'm like,
this guy is
fuck it. It's
kind of tongue in cheek, but it's also kind of not. It's also kind of saying like, we're going to go about it in a way that's not the way that it's always been. Even if it's in a small way of just supporting each other at goals. And if it's just a small way of being like, we're going to not just be about ourselves. You know, and that was one of the cool things about the holiday party that we started off. We collaborated with Hollywood Gives, and then once the new Hollywood ran it, is like in order to come, you have to bring something. You have to. There's a give back aspect. In order to be part of it, it's not just certain people get to be on the red carpet. Everybody gets to be on the red carpet. You know, and so it's been fun because over the years, we always got, this is the most un-Hollywood Hollywood party, you know? Like, so we're sitting there having, if you people wouldn't know, like, oh yeah, that guy's on Ozark. That guy has created like 12 different shows. That person is just starting out. Like this, like, you know, so it's just kind of, if you sign the pledge, you can be invited. But just to say, like, manifesting your mission is a journey, and I think if you get still with yourself, it becomes more and more clear why those certain obstacles have happened in your life, why those certain lessons have happened in your life, and how do you then take all of that and benefit from it, and not just benefit from it, but how can you add value because of it? So, you know, it's funny to me based on. I need some water.
That's what that's.
A little less green juice, a little more water.
I love the idea of manifesting because it gives you, it puts the power back in your hands as well.
Yeah.
You know, because so much of Hollywood, and I know that I felt it, and guilty of it sometimes, is why won't they give me a chance? And them, and them, and they, and they. And,
it's easy to be a victim.
It's easy to be a victim in Hollywood. So to manifest and take that power to yourself, that's strong.
Yeah, and you know, to go back further, you know, I'm the reason that my why I'm a big believer in knowing your why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you acting? Why?
So I think that
there can be lots of different reasons, right?
I would have taken.
I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong or whatever, but that's it's so important to get really clear as to why you're doing it, because then you can decide, but is that what I want, or is that's what I want? Why? So, and the only way you do that is by being still and honest with yourself, by taking the time to be honest, to plant the seeds for what you want to create. So a lot of these exercises help with that, but like when I look back, because of certain experiences that I had when I was younger in high school, certain experiences I had in Los Angeles because of having some really difficult obstacles in my 20s, I look back and I wouldn't have created so much that I've created. I wouldn't be able to play the characters that I've been able to play had I not had those experiences and then flip the switch and been able to use it to my advantage, right? And I just remember going through a really rough time when I was like in my early like middle school to high school phase. I remember when I said like I would look past the page and I like couldn't sing or talk beyond, and I didn't get into any of the plays. And I remember I'm never doing that again. I just remember I was with my mom in her car, and I'm in the back seat. I'm looking out the window. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. I've never met a single person who's ever made a living as an artist, ever. And I said to my mom, Mom, I'm going to be an actress. She like looks in the rearview mirror like, you know, I'm sure she in her mind, she's like,
how did that go?
Whatever. She's like, I'm like, Mom, and I said, and then she's like, oh, okay. She's, being nice, supportive, like, oh, okay. And I was looking out and I said, Mom, I'm going to be an actress because actors can be more powerful than politicians. And I just remember that. And I was like, I had that vivid memory of that. And then as I look at different parts of my life, I learned this, I learned this, I learned this. I'm like, wow, as artists, we can elevate. We can be really influential. I'm not saying like you need to influence being like whatever the party system is. You can do that too. Obviously, look what's happened the last few years specifically.
A way of being able to inspire.
Right. And so
So it's interesting that randomly at 14, I felt this, and yet I've had a calling to not only be an artist, but also evolve this group of people and this organization to a thing that I never knew it was going to look like how it looks now. I never knew that 12 years later, I would write a book. I had a writing teacher tell me that I was terrible at writing. And I was like, I had writer's block, and I was like, it was a UCLA extension class. I don't know if I reminded him of an X or something. I don't know.
But he told me,
yeah, whatever. I don't know. But I was like totally shut down. But, you know, there's so many things that, like,
that's a real thing.
Had I let those things be completely detrimental and not move through and gotten still, like, well, what do I want to do? Well, maybe I can write. Okay, well, why don't I try? Let me put that out there. Maybe I can direct something, or maybe I can produce something, or maybe I can, you know, and letting yourself take those baby steps and not letting perfection hold you back. So
technology.
So we're gonna do an exercise. Do you guys have paper? No, I know it's a weird thing to ask.
You guys fail.
All right, grab your phone and a notebook or the notepad page.
I was like,
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you to like.
So this is an exercise called Get Real and Rise Up. So before we jump into that,
I can't take time off of work, and I can't.
you know, it's like before an audition.
I can't afford to do it.
She really wants attention.
Jeez, Siri.
I'm just gonna cut it out.
Oh, okay. Well, that's happening.
Flashback.
So,
I just disconnected.
All right, good.
okay, so, you know, when you're nervous, you're in an audition room for a performance, you got to get in your body, right?
Like, no, I'm going to invest in a condo.
Ideally, you get in your body, get in your breath. So,
it's not like
I want you to all to, like, take your legs, uncross them, check out your arms. Yeah, we're doing some theater exercise or something. I want you to take a deep breath from, like, the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head.
And then the other thing I would
Let
say
it go.
is knowing how to really handle your time.
I'm going to have you do two more. It may seem stupid, but do it anyway. Take a deep breath.
You know, if you're looking at
All the way to the top of your head.
what the life is of a series regular, it's
Let it all out. And one more. All the way up.
You're not like, oh my god, I'm in party.
Let it out.
But you are working 12 hours a day.
Why we're doing that is to get you out of thinking.
Grounded.
Okay? When we're thinking, we're trying to be right. We're trying to problem solve. I don't want you to be right. I want you to just listen to yourself. Okay? Check in with yourself.
And you have to then be like,
So,
cool, I just shot.
This is a very
12,
simple
14 hours
exercise.
Monday through
And
Friday
ideally, you've
Saturday.
already spent
And I need to go do
a lot
press.
of minutes doing
And
other
I need
stream
to
of
do
consciousness
and I need to memorize
exercises
each day.
prior to this.
You know?
But
and so it's
we're going to
like,
jump into it
it's not
anyway.
what people teach you.
So this exercise is called Get Real and Rise Up.
The people that are good at it
So
are
as we
like,
think about the new
you know,
year,
I remember
I'm kind of
so many
reading it,
jobs I'm flying
and that one
back and
goal
forth
that seems
between
out of reach,
so much doesn't
still
even
out of
shoot
reach.
here, where
Now
I'm
is the
like
time to
trying
get
be
honest with
home
yourself.
my personal life,
Maybe it's
jumping
getting a
on
promotion
flight,
at work,
getting up at
being in a
4
healthy,
a.m.
committed,
to
loving
be able to
relationship,
fly out, to be-
working
because
regularly
it's
as an
time
artist,
difference, to
ideal
get a
health and
work
wellness,
to memorize,
having a
to
harmonious
maybe
relationship
work
with
out
money,
if I'm not
being
exhausted
kind to
enough,
yourself
try
instead
to
of
eat well
critical.
enough, to have energy,
I want you
and
to think
also
about what is
be
that
able to
one
maintain
thing.
what I need to maintain,
Figure
to
like
then
it's still
get
out of
up on a
reach.
totally different
So I want you to take a
time
deep
zone,
breath.
You know, to be at 4 a.m, which is
Let
one
it out.
previous time. And
You're also
you
kind of
like,
opening yourself
gotta
up to just seeing if an answer comes.
And so as artists, it's like
And I want you to write down in your phone or on your paper
like only like that.
the answer to what is holding me back really.
I've learned more of that
Okay.
in my later years.
Just finish up that thought. Okay. Take another deep breath.
I had a lot of friends and I had a lot of big friends every month.
Oh my god.
And it's
The amount of money I
I want you
spent
to
on
answer this
birthday
question.
presents. I was like,
It's like,
bitch, I love
why
you,
haven't
but
I
you do not
achieved
get
it yet?
a present.
Right?
That is not a
Why
budget
haven't I
priority.
achieved it yet?
I am sorry.
Write down the answer.
Spending $50
This is a
every
big
time
one.
you go
Ready for
out.
it?
Somebody, you know.
I'm like, we're gonna go on a walk.
Shake.
Yeah. How about I buy
All
you
right,
a
take
coffee
another deep
Yeah.
breath.
for your birthday? Happy birthday.
Let the fuck out.
Seriously.
Free yoga in the park birthday party.
Where do I get to take responsibility?
Yeah.
3 to 5 people that embody the habit. And I had 2 other things that aren't in that exercise. I'm going to make it a supercharged exercise.
I'll do a fun one.
Bonus round.
I want you to think of author, someone you know.
So just to kind of give an overview
Maybe.
how this works, it's not like it's a long
Maybe.
I'm going to put them down.
Do it.
kind of
I said
explaining
5.
what the book is. And all these
And now I want you to write down
that
who are
I
your
found
3
over
to
the
5
years
closest
work.
confidants.
For
Who
me.
do you call when you're
And it's been beta
upset?
tested within the organization for. Well,
Who do you lean on?
The organization's been on for 12
Now, why
years
did I
now.
ask you that?
I've been doing different versions
Often
of
we
it
ask
for
the same
5
3 to 5 people
So this is a
for advice
it's been tested
for our
internally.
problems.
This is the first time it's available for non.
And they usually have the same problems.
So part of what I'm a big believer in is taking the time to get still,
sometimes
to get really
I know for
honest with
myself,
yourself about what you
like it's kept me stuck.
because it
Right.
shifts. It
And,
shifts over time. And
or we can bitch about it. We can be like,
So we do a lot of like stream of consciousness exercises.
look
and it just kind of gets you really
okay, well, it's not.
focused on what are your goals for
It
this
isn't.
year. And,
Life isn't fair.
You know, what is
So,
your mission?
Where do I get to take
You kind of go, I think I have
responsibility
this
to
story
grow
that's, like, I
into
feel like
being
sharing some of
the
my
best version of myself? To have the same
When I
sorts
look
of
back-
qualities
He's all
that
proud
the
of his
people
book
who I
now.
just said have.
I got a book.
I'm ready to go.
I don't know what you guys do.
I got a book.
So, and again, I'm not saying you need to like poo-poo your friends or your family.
But
I've gotten terrible advice from family. So, but everybody's doing the best they can,
what I
right?
found-
Everybody's doing the best they can.
like the reason
Hopefully.
manifesting your
And,
mission for a title is a pretty bold title. Just like,
and I'm a big
the title
believer
of my
in-
nonprofit, The New Hollywood. That's a bold title.
If there's something
But,
that's not happening in your life right now,
said or done because
it simply
was
means
kinda
there's
like
something I don't know yet.
synchronistic.
So if you go about
When
it
I
from that
first started
point of
the
view,
organization, it was just women.
just
And
means
I
that you have
remember
something
in
yet to
one of
learn,
the meetings,
right?
all the women are being really supportive
But
of their
staying
goals,
in,
and they're like,
well,
you
it's
know,
not
helping each
fair.
other.
Then you're
And
never.
one of the women
you're
said,
gonna just dig your heels in on like
this is
it's
like-
not right. And then you're just spinning.
Out.
You're
She's
not
like,
doing
we're like
anything.
New Hollywood,
I've seen people spend
and it like kind of
decades
struck me.
being delusional about
It's a bold
what they
title.
say they want.
Fuck it. It's kind
When
of
in
tongue in
fact,
cheek.
if they got still,
It's
they'd
also
realize they
kinda not.
actually don't
It's
really
also
want
kind of
that.
saying like,
So that's why
we're gonna go about
let's
it.
get
in a way
Real and
that's
Rise
not
Up is called the
way that's always
exercise.
been. Even if
Right?
it's in a small way.
And the
of
big point is,
supporting each other's goals.
where do you get to take
And if
personal
it's a small way of
responsibility
being
for the
like, we're
things
gonna
that
give-
aren't working
we're
in your
gonna
life?
give out ourselves. You know, and that was one of
So
the
does
cool
anyone
things
want to
of the
share
holiday
anything that
party
like,
that we started off?
you know, you don't have
collaborated
Facebook
with,
Live on you, so you know, you're anonymous.
and then
I'm not, but is there anything that like that came to you
to bring something.
that was like,
there's a
oh wow,
give back
this was an
aspect.
insight.
In
I'm
order
not
to be
saying
part
this
of it,
solved all your
It's not
problems.
just certain people.
I
who have
don't.
to be on the red
It's a
carpet.
journey,
Everybody
but
and
there
so
might
it's
be a
been fun
little
because
hint of like, yeah, I
years
do
we
need to
always
do blah
got-
blah blah.
This
I
is
know
the
I've been
most
saying
un-Hollywood
it.
Hollywood party.
I know I need to
You
do
know?
it. It's that
Like, so
little
we're sitting there having-
still voice inside. You know, I'm a big believer that
oh yeah, that guy's on Ozark.
also that
that guy
if
is
you
has created
get
like
still
12
enough,
different shows.
you know
That
exactly
person
what
is
you need
just
to do.
starting out. Like this, like,
And it's
you know, so
totally
it's
different
just
for
kind
each of us.
If you sign the pledge, you can be
George,
invited.
is there
But,
anything that you realize that you
but it, just to say like manifesting.
Really,
your
was that
mission
last one, the five
is a
confidants? I was
journey.
as I was
And-
writing,
and
I was
I
like,
think if you get
wow, I
still
need to
with yourself,
broaden my base.
It becomes more and more clear why those certain
I was like,
obstacles
oof, because
that
and
happen
it
in
was
your
what you
life,
just
why
said
those
too, and it's stuff that has been on my mind lately. It was like,
and how
this
do you
is the
then
same
take
people
all
I've
of
been
that
going to, and well, the
benefit.
definition of insanity is doing the
And
same
that's
thing over and over again,
How can you
and
add value to
expecting a different result,
So,
right? And I've
know,
been considering
it's funny to me
broadening my
based
base,
on-
but I guess. Well, we've known each other for a long time, and I'm not used to asking for help.
Yeah, being vulnerable
I'm not used to it at all. I am used to.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. So much.
Yeah, I got it.
I got it. No problem. It's okay. But I also come from a family that's very much, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. You know. So that's a hard lesson for me to figure out.
And one of the things that I wrote in my book. I can say that. I wrote this in my book. I wrote this in my book is that
I'm stealing it from, I'm sure, a million people, but specifically Brianna Brown, who I think is an amazing author. I do recommend her books. I try to give other people credit because in no way am I saying I figured it all on my own, because I didn't, of course. But is that there's strength and vulnerability, right? But I also believe, I believe that if you have a strong purpose, if you have a strong why as to why you're doing what you're doing, if you're doing it for something bigger than just yourself, if you know that when you are able to be of a platform and make a difference, you're going to really make a difference to help whatever it is that you're passionate about. People want to help you. I go out of my way, my husband goes out of his way to help people, not just because they're talented. Everybody's talented, or got to be talented to survive in this business. But because if someone's a good person and they have a purpose bigger than just themselves, I'll go for that.
I would look past the page.
But other people I know that are very talented that have a really wishy-washy why,
and I remember
oftentimes disappoint me.
Never done that again.
I've oftentimes regretted being like, hey, you should meet my agent. I'm like, great, you let them down.
Yeah.
But that's really more of a reflection of how they do one thing is how they do everything.
I'm looking out the window in St. Paul, Minnesota. I've never met a single person.
So I believe that there is strength and vulnerability, and people want to help you be vulnerable with other people because people want to help people who want to add value. Anyone else?
Well, let's jump into questions. If they want to share, they can jump into questions as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then
Who's first?
Questions from the audience. Come on, don't be shy. Yeah.
Stand up. The mic's there.
Mike's right here.
Oh yeah, the mic.
I didn't know if you were pointing at me.
Oh, you don't have to. But.
Oh, okay.
He's going to break out into song.
Thanks for coming out. I just wanted to see. My first question was, how do we get involved? But he already answered that. So,
did my job. I got you guys.
My second question was, what coaches have you worked with that you recommend that you can test for?
There's so many, but I really do believe it's a personal journey.
And so
I don't want to be wishy-washy with that, but I do think I don't know what your creative journey is supposed to be. I don't know what you're supposed to learn from who and why. So I'm a big believer in don't stick in an acting. I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but don't stick in an acting class for longer than 2 years.
I try to kick them out after a couple of years.
Yeah.
And
I was like, you get too comfortable. You get too comfortable. Now, I've been at a certain studio for longer than that, but I made a point of switching classes.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
I'm also a big believer in go where you're not the best person,
there's so many
but you better become the best person. Here's why. If they're in class, they're not competing out in the real world. Because when you're competing out in the real world, when you're on set, you're not able to take class. So that's why you better be the best damn person in your class, so that you have the ability to compete when those jobs open up against the people who do it 16 hours a day.
So
technology.
So
I was in my 20s. I was taking 3 acting classes a week. I was private coaching on every single audition. I needed to get my 10,000 hours in. I needed to get my confidence.
So this is an exercise called.
But then later, after I got the hang of certain things, I never coach. I don't need to. If I want to, I could. I can. I know how to private coach for certain things where I felt it. I needed to do it. But I trust my intuition. And so a lot of it's learning how to trust yourself.
Okay.
Whatever that method is for you. And I've seen certain people that have just such a natural ability, and confidence that they just always trust themselves. I'm like, that's amazing. But I'm like, way to go. But from my background and what I had to learn, I also think take different things that inspire you, but also take scene study classes, but learn how to be really fucking amazing at auditions.
Some theater exercises.
Because it's a different beast, and that's what you need to be good at. And again, that goes back to knowing how to act, and then being able to be a good business person and be able to be really good in a room.
I mean, it's weird. It's so weird. I remember I had this one audition where I had to go in, act totally sane. Not that I'm not sane, but go in and act totally sane and like, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, you're going to ask about my resume. Great. Okay. Da-da-da. And next scene is my baby's dying inside me and I have to abort it. And like all this stuff. So then I have to be like, okay, hold on a second. And this is like emotional scene. And then the next scene was, hold on a second. Hi. And then I was had to be sexy. I had to be sexy and flirty, like a whole other thing. And then end it and be like, so, it was great to meet you guys. Any questions? You want me to see any other ways? Okay, no, okay, bye. You know, I'm like, that's insane. That's insane that I have to be able to manipulate my emotions from being totally grounded and professional, be like, you trust me with millions of dollars to put behind my name. I will bang this out and let me show you how I can go from 0 to 60 to totally batshit crazy. Fine. Now I'm going to be not crying and sexy and flirty, and now I'm going to be normal again. I mean, I left there and I was like, I killed it, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's those are my, what am I doing with my life moments? Like, what am I doing?
I didn't get the role, but I was like, they did call and specifically like say what a great job I did. So I was like, okay. Especially when they're asking me questions about my resume. I'm like, oh, now I need to like talk about this, like a totally other thing when in the back of my mind.
Your top or your shoes or something.
I got them on sale.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, hold on while I think of my baby aborting things. Okay, so any other questions?
About auditioning, do you have a process besides learning the scene and the intent and all your work you do on the script, but is there like something you do just to make sure you're grounded when you go into a room or process? Because I watched Russell Crowe and he says he does certain things back in the day. So when he went into the room, he's pure confidence, you know.
You mean like a ritual?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think pure confidence is probably rare.
Yeah.
Right? But that's awesome if he's always purely confident.
He did something for himself. He set out a task.
Right. Like an athlete. Right. Like an athlete before they go.
I feel good about that.
Right. And again, to go back to your question, I'm just like, it's not that I'm trying to be vague, but that's something that's super personal.
Yeah.
I do think that but what I am going to say, because I'm a big believer in goal setting and habits, what habits do you have every day to be able to be grounded? And I wrote this in my book, but
on sale.
So ridiculous. And this isn't any new information. If you listen to like Tim Ferriss' podcast, if you listen to Anthony Robbins, if you listen to like people who help support people that are of the highest quality, like CEOs and athletes and, you know, people that are just excellent at what they do, they all have some sort of daily mindfulness routine, usually in the morning, often in the evening as well. And so it's habitual. It's as simple as habitualizing it. But the thing is, it's so easy to be like, but I gotta check social media because we have an addiction to it.
I've been
easy
going to bed with the phone in the other room.
Yeah.
So I don't check that social media first thing in the morning.
Right. It's like how you start your morning and how you get your brain focused. If you think of your brain as a muscle, which it is, and the synapses in your brain and where they're used to firing, we can change the neural pathways, and I might just be repeating this for a lot of you that probably know this, but you can change the neural pathways in your brain by what habits you have. That's why we don't have to think about driving. We just hop in the car and we know how to do it. It took us a while to figure out, and we just do it. Right? Well, certain, you know, and it goes back to like, if there's something I don't know, it means there's something I don't know yet, right? Sometimes we picked up really bad habits. And those habits are the key to what is to what is like the main problem, you know. And if you shift the habit, it completely changes the trajectory. So if you look at the people that are the best of the best, what do they do? How do they do it? And I would guess he does some sort of mindfulness routine, whether it's meditation or prayer or stream of consciousness journaling or chanting or something, affirmations, some sort of physicalization, a change of physical state, a change of like, body temperature. If you look at any of the people who are just excellent at what they do, they have some sort of ritual or habit that they start off. And so then it's easy to like pop into it. That kind of way of being when you're under a stressful situation. But you're not going to do it automatically if your muscles aren't strong,
Make it like second nature.
You got to make it so it's easier to do during stressful periods of time.
I'm not.
Especially if somebody has anxiety issues.
That came to you.
And if you don't have anxiety issues right now in the world, then I don't know I don't know what I'm so like in awe of you, but you're an outlier.
There might be a hint of like.
Taylor.
Just speaking of mindfulness. Do you still do morning pages? Or I know you mentioned Julia Cameron. Do you have like a go-to artist state that you love to do or anything like that?
No, like I said earlier, like I'm a big believer in like having fluidity within the rigidity.
George,
right? So certain things I'll do during certain periods of time. There was a period of time, end of last year, where I was writing 750 words. Was I doing it stream of consciousness by hand? No, I was doing it on the computer. Am I doing that now? No, I don't feel like it. This like quarter, I'm doing different things, and I break that up in the book. I think that it's so easy to be like, okay, well, I have to do this and I should do this, but sometimes it's like, okay, well, during this period of time, I will do this, and now I'm going to switch and try something else, because I found for myself, if I always have this like rigidity and I have to do this one thing, I'll end up totally rebelling. So if I can be like, make it playful and fun and have some fluidity, I'm like, I'm gonna do this for right now. Yeah, great. And then if I notice that I stop doing it, then it's a matter of like, is it because I don't want to do that anymore, or is it resistance? And maybe resistance because it's what I need to be doing. So that's a different thing. So I kind of break up my year in quarters like you would in school as to what I'm focusing on. And that's also in my book. But that is me. But I do think that like, because as a grown-up, and you don't have like a set structure, and especially in a town where like the seasons all blend, and you're like, is it winter, is it spring, is it summer? I can kind of tell. It's so easy, and I think that's where kind of like the Peter Pan syndrome comes. Like it's like, or the like not fully growing up, because it's like every year kind of feels like last year. Yeah. You're not having like life say, and now you need to scrape snow off your windshield. Time has officially passed. Like shit has changed. You're like, I better change, so it's like I think I have to do those changes for myself. So, and also so I don't get bored. I can't like do the same sort of food thing constantly. I'll do it for periods of time, and then I'll switch, and it'll evolve, and I'll learn more, and it's like, I think that you got to kind of know yourself. And some people are really extreme, and I see this, and I've done this, where it's like it's all or nothing. So if you're that personality, you got to know that. Sometimes you got to then take it back a little bit so that you can actually run the marathon and you're not burning out come mile 4.
What about taking it easy on yourself as well?
Well, that is a whole other thing we talk about, is how do you treat yourself? And I'm working on that. We're all, I think, working on that. How do I treat myself? How do I treat myself when I mess up? Yeah. How do I forgive myself? How do I forgive others? How do I move past that? There's all these things. Anyone else? And honestly, these things, you're like, well, I need to get that Academy Award, right? Awesome if if the stars line up that you get that like role that gets nominated. But but like those little seemingly small changes I have found are often the most profound, and yet they are the easiest to totally wash over. Like, that's not important. This is important, and then you're just in the gerbil wheel, doing the same problem over and over and over again.
Let's take one more.
My second question
Take the lady.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to you. We'll get to you. After.
Yeah.
I'll be quick.
We'll take 2 more.
Okay. I'm like really hard on myself all the time.
Stop.
Really hard on myself. And I just had a question on like you talking about how you found yourself and how you like learned who you were and what you like and what, how do you, this may sound like so stupid, but how do you like figure out who you are? Like, do you do it by like reading or like doing things out of your comfort zone? Like, is it like a combination of things? Like, how do you?
Ayahuasca.
No, for some people,
No.
we're not allowed to say that in a class. That's a great question. First of all, I think
if they're in class,
it's so easy to be hard on yourself.
they're not confused about.
It is especially so easy to be hard on yourself now that everybody has a highlight reel. Everybody's got their own little magazine spread, and it's now never been more important in your career to also compete in that way, which most of us, that's not why we got into this. It's hard not to compare to people's face-tuned, filtered, world, right? Where they're always having so much fun. But by the way, I've totally been on the floor, like sobbing my eyes out, and been like, totally posting a hot picture of me. Like, nobody knows. Nobody knows I'm like snot. I want too hard. I need to put a hot picture. I need some light.
Women Crush Wednesday.
So let's be real about that. But I'm that's a journey. But the fact that you're bold enough and vulnerable enough to say that means that you're ready to like let it go. Yeah.
I also think take different things.
I have been the person who's like I hit a roadblock and I like try every different angle to fix it.
Because it's a different.
Sometimes to my own detriment, but using all sorts of different tools because I'm like laser focus on.
And then being
okay, this isn't working. How do I fix this? What's working? What's not? Why? How do I fix it?
It's weird. It's so
and
weird.
eventually,
I remember I had this one audition.
I figure it out.
Go in, act totally safe.
Or at least know more than I did before. That doesn't mean it's like perfect. So,
you're gonna ask about my resume.
That's a really good thing to prioritize focusing on. Also, how do you speak about yourself? How do you let other people speak about you? What boundaries do you set up? How do you interrupt yourself when you get hard on yourself?
And this is like
you got to interrupt yourself.
Emotional scene.
The words you use against yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
and then
if the strongest two words in the English language are "I am." So if you're constantly going around saying "I am stupid," you're going to believe you're stupid. If you constantly walk around saying I'm dirt or I'm garbage or I'm not good looking enough or I'm not tall enough or I'm not funny enough or I'm not I'm not thin enough or I'm not I'm not bold enough, then you're going to believe it.
But often it's so like autopilot that we don't even recognize it. So the thing is, doing mindfulness stuff will help you interrupt when you start to go there.
Now I'm going to be
so that will indirectly help you interrupt yourself because you're getting stronger in a different way through like meditation. I'm a big believer in meditation. If you're not yet into meditation, I really like Headspace. I'm not like paid to say that, but I think it's a very simple.
Hashtag Headspace.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was like
Hey, you pay me now.
But and then there was a second part to your question. For some reason, I'm spacing on it.
Talk about this like a totally other thing.
Oh, finding yourself. Yeah. I would say a really great format.
Yeah. Hold on while I think of my.
Aside from something like
Okay, so any other questions?
I think my book is great. I think also Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way is really great. I also really love Louise Hay's books. There's a book called You Can Heal Your Life, which I think will actually hit on both of the things that you're talking about.
Thank you.
So when you first moved out here in 19 and you're like trying to adjust to the city, which I don't know how small the town was that you moved from, but like for me, I moved from a town of like 5,000 people to out here. So when you're trying to juggle like rent and everything that's going on, adjusting to the city life, how did you kind of keep yourself motivated and still see that higher goal of like, I still need like to work on my art and my craft, aside from like trying to keep the bills paid and like everything else that's going on.
Right, and again, to go back to your question, and
your
like,
prior,
it's not that I'm trying to be vague, but that's something that's
a
super
lot.
personal.
But it's how do you spend your time?
Well, what I am going to say, because
how do you spend your money? Is it in your calendar? What you put in your calendar is your priority.
Every day.
How you spend your money is your priority. You want to know what's important to you? Look at your credit card statement.
I wrote this in my book, but
right. You might be like, oh, that's not that important to me. I would invest the majority of my money and my time in my craft.
People who help support people.
I also into getting good at my craft. Right, and I did it. I was motivated because I had to be.
Excellent. What
I had to be. And I also kind of just knew at a certain point, I was like, okay, it costs X amount. I have to make X amount of money to have SAG insurance.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool, I got to do that. And it wasn't until...
It's as simple as habitualizing it.
I don't know. I was in my very early 20s. I think I was like 21. I went and I sat down with my commercial agent at the time, Nick Terzian, who's awesome. I still have him as like when for campaigns. And I will never forget, he sat me down. He basically gave me like a commercial seminar, like dress like this and do this and blah, blah, blah. And, and he said to me, he looked me right in the face and he said, Brianna, the only reason you are not making six figures is because of you. And that really struck me. I never thought of it that way. I didn't even think I could make six figures. But of course, like, right? Like, that's like, if you're going to be a series regular, you're going to be making major six figures. And it struck me. I nearly made six figures that year. And I always have. So I think that
what is like the main problem.
Like,
and if you shift
you gotta look at a lot of different things.
So if you look at the people that are the best of the best,
I don't know what else to say.
No, that helps definitely.
How do they do it?
Yeah.
And I would guess,
and also reduce your expenses.
Yeah.
Look at your budget. I know it's not fun, but you have to. You really do. Otherwise, you're like, why am I spending so much money on things? Really, a lot of things I would spend money on were things to try and make me feel better.
I mean, if you look at any of the people who are just
I reward myself because I just wanted to feel better. For women, it's shopping. Well, I need it. Well, maybe there's a way you can do it for less. How can you get creative in what are basic needs? Maybe you can live with a couple cool friends so that your expenses are low. And you set up strong boundaries so that like your place is a sanctuary and not like a fraternity.
You gotta make it so it's easier to do.
No, and I find sometimes like when you come here young, there's this image of Hollywood that you feel like you need to do. You feel like you need to go to this club and do this and do that to fit in, and then you don't realize, I just spent $50 on one fucking drink.
You're an outlier.
And I wasted it. So it's,
And that girl didn't even like me. She just wanted a free drink.
Yeah, but there's a...
She wouldn't talk to the other guy.
Yeah. She was just trying to get a free drink.
Thank you, bye.
She did her job. She was smart.
She did what she was supposed to do.
And
I always remember feeling guilty. I was like, I will never flirt with someone to get a free drink. I felt really bad about that because I worked really hard for my money and I was not going to take someone else,
So you see the prices and you're like,
I was like, I'm just going to stay at home and read. Is what I was doing. But to your point, and a lot of those people are not in are not in the business. There are people that I would see that they have worked and they partied and they did all of that. There's lots of different paths. I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong. But I do think that working smart and having longevity, those are the common denominators I see throughout for people that make a living year after year, decade after decade.
So if I can
they have strong habits, healthy habits. Maybe they're not perfect in all areas, but they do. And you also need to remember,
all right, great.
Only the top 2% of SAG actors make a living.
Is it because I don't want to do that anymore, or is it resistance?
And that doesn't mean they're making a living year after year, or decade after decade.
So that's a different thing.
So if you're not willing to really work really, really hard and really, really smart, then you don't have a strong why.
And that's also in my book. But yeah,
you might not be doing this in 5 to 10 years.
But I do think that
or
you might be doing it.
You don't have like
but you're not really that fulfilled, and you're not focusing on other things that actually are what you really,
and
want.
you're like, is it winter? Is it spring? Is it summer?
Men and women, I've seen that. So
it's so easy, and I think that's
not to end on a low note.
No. We got some other stuff going on.
We're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate it, but we got a couple of segments that we need to do.
Okay, great.
And one is I am stalling because the speaker.
Yeah, you want. Yeah. So you want the book.
On that note.
I'm like, sorry.
Well, actually, he's.
I'm like, chill.
But yeah, if you want a book from author.
If you'd like, today if you'd like a book, it's 25 versus 30, and we can go to the side and do that. But if you'd like to buy the book for the other people, it's you have to go to my website, which is Brianna with 2 N's -brown.com, and it's under the shop. So /shop.
I was actually thinking if we could get another female question, because we had a lot of dudes ask questions.
Yeah, get one more.
So while we're stalling, anybody up there?
One last one.
Great, Sarah Lynn, what do you got?
Okay. I was really into musical theater and like plays whenever I was growing up.
Connected to Vampire 1137.
So I was wondering if like you ever continued with that after Montreal. Living in LA.
Okay. Yes, a little bit. What I found was that whenever I got into a play, I ended up booking work and had to leave.
Right? Awesome. If you,
so I think I would have done more plays had I. But I don't know. So what I've done instead is I've actually, the part of me that loves to sing and loves to perform, I've actually created different opportunities, stage productions, and I've done that through my nonprofit. So where I'm like, you know what, I miss singing, and I'm like, I am going to create a show, and it is going to be to help stop human trafficking, and it is going to be called Freedom to Express, and I get to sing and I get to dance, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, that's now I got my, so it's fun. And then there's going to be a dance party, and that's going to be fun. So that's kind of what I've done. So because I've sang at different benefits, I've sang at some of the women in the New Hollywood have like a lot of Broadway credits, and a couple years ago a handful of us performed in New York to help raise money for Broadway Sniffs Out Cancer, which is cancer sniffing dogs, or I've been asked to sing at What a Pair, which is like a one-night performance with a lot of different women of Broadway caliber, and that was to help with breast cancer. So I think, or not, to help prevent breast cancer. But so I think getting involved in that sort of way is, a good way to be able to still focus on things that will make a living, so that you're not totally booked out. Now that being said, there are certain times in the year where it's smart to be like, you know what, I just need to soak it up and focus for a month and be on a play. But during pilot season is not usually one of them. If you're going out. If you're not going out, then you got to figure out what do you need to be doing during that time. And so it is kind of just depend. It just kind of depends on where you're at with your career. But does that kind of So if I were you, I would say how can I do things at open mics, or how can I put something together with friends of like-minded caliber? How can I make there be a give back aspect, so something bigger than ourselves, and it's not a showcase. No one wants to go to a showcase.
Yeah, that's good. We have a couple of regular segments. You guys want to explain it?
We got a couple of regular segments that we do on the show. Just a couple of little fun games so that we do end on a high note. The first one, you get to have 90 seconds with your own personal stalker.
Oh,
yeah. We got a jingle.
We have a jingle for it too.
I'm Candy. Can I smell your hair? Can I wear it? I want to be you. I found your house. Can I smell your hair? Can I smell your hair? Can I wear it? I am Candy with the K.
Stop it. I'm safe.
So hi, I'm Candy. As you can totally tell. And that's how you spell my name. It's K-A-N-N-D-I-E. Make sure you remember both N's, okay? Whenever you're spelling it. Anyway, first I wanted to take the opportunity to say I absolutely love you. I love what you represent. I love your hair. I mean, you have this beautiful package, but inside you have the prettiest heart. Because you're just teaching love. You're teaching love to all of us. And for the past, two-ish hours, you have just been pouring into us so we can be better people and help pay it forward. So just thank you so much for that. But I also wanted to share with everybody else the couple of times that I was digging around to try to find stuff about you.
In her trash cans.
Stop it. So I had to say one of my favorite things was in True Blood. You were the telepathic fairy, Lita, which, to be honest, she was the best part of the entire show. I mean, nobody really cares about Ted and Sokka.
Whoa. No.
Ted and Sokka. The late Sokka. Isn't that what I said? That's what I said. Ted and Sokka. But you were the reason to watch the show. So thank you so much for just pushing that forward. And she was amazing. And I got stills and their posters and they're framed in my room and it's fantastic. The other thing that I found was one of the first movies I'd ever seen you in ever was the Mystery Museum, The Search of the Jewel of Polaris. It is amazing. It has everything you could possibly want. It's got children adventures. It's got paintings that you could just jump into a magical world and there's little gems everywhere. And you got to play with AJ Trough, who is Twitty from Even Stevens. And that just spoke right to my heart. And so I just want to say thank you for being who you are and being on our show.
But amazing.
90 seconds of yourself.
It gets creepier every time.
Drinking game. I would say
this other one, this is a fun one that I find myself playing on set all the time. You probably played it a few times when you're sitting in the chairs and you're kind of bored. Take it away, Landis.
All right, here we go.
This is Luther, and this is Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills.
With the top 3 of IMDb.
Hush your mouth, Trick.
I know you did not just call me a trick.
So we're playing Maribang Kills, but we're playing it a little bit differently. Instead of objectifying people, we're objectifying movies. And our choices right now, if we were to personify the Oscar movies, the Oscar-nominated movies right now, would you marry, bang, or kill Get Out, I, Tonya, or
Shape of Water? Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Landis will go first.
All right. I will bang the hell out of the Shape of Water. I want that threesome. Between the fish, the mermaid, and me. I'm just going to say that. Marry I, Tonya, because, God, that's a sad story. That was sad. She needs love. And kill Get Out, because that's my personal hell. I would kill me if that happens. Don't mess with my mind. But those are my top 3.
All right. Right.
See, I would probably marry The Shape of Water because of the whole fantasy aspect of it all. And I mean, magic and love conquers all type deal. So yeah, definitely marry Shape of Water.
But a hot fish. Have you seen it?
And I also kind of knew at a certain point. I was like, okay,
I love what's on the inside.
And is it even gay?
It's on the outside.
What is that?
And so I'm just saying, it's a magical story. It's like Beauty and the Beast. She loved the inner man, not the outer shell.
It was literally a monster.
I went and I sat down.
Just literally a monster.
Literally.
Anyway. All right, so Marry Shape of Water. I would probably Get Out because with all the high intensity emotions all over the place. So
wow, that would be a roller coaster.
Right? It would be a roller coaster.
That would be
there would not be a moment of I don't know if I'm interested or entertained today. It's no, high emotions and adrenaline. And then kill I, Tonya, because put her out of her misery.
But why?
The pain.
Why?
All over the place. Just quick death, done, go on to a better place.
You want to have a relationship with a guy stuck in his brain, but you want to murder the poor innocent girl? You stole her life?
She wasn't stuck in a tank. of like water. She got to go out and do things and make life choices. She experienced things.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh.
Would you like to take it away?
I have to say, I think yours sound really good. So I'm being kind of a copycat because I haven't seen Signs of Water yet, but I liked your version of that.
And also reduce your
then Get Out. Yeah, I would. That sounds like an absolute nightmare. And then Mary, you feel bad for her. You want her to just feel better.
Yeah.
So I get
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Thank you. Two smart people in the group.
Mary to heal.
All right.
Mary
well,
to heal.
Mary to heal. All right. Well, I get. Well, here's the thing with I, Tonya. As I was watching it, I was thinking, wow, Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan are really good looking to be playing these roles. They're too good looking to be playing those characters. I'm like, it took me out of the freaking movie. So I'm just going to bang them because they're just so good looking. They're just banging all the way. I might have to marry The Shape of Water, I guess, because those are my choices. And Get Out scares the hell out of me. I don't want to be. I don't want to go into the sunken place.
You don't want a white man controlling your body when you're in hell.
No. She was just trying to get a free drink. I've been told that I sound like a white man on the phone.
You do.
I do have that voice. I get that.
When you open with I'm George.
Hi, this is George. Welcome to Scott Speed Acting Studio.
I was my money and I was not going to take someone else.
So this guy's shooting the planet.
Wait.
He's brown. Stay at home and read.
You don't sound brown. So I guess I would marry Shape of Water.
A lot of those people are not in business. Now, there are people that I would
you got a fish and a meat.
Listen, I'm just saying.
It's going to be a very quiet house. At least it'll be a quiet house.
I guess I'm the only adventurous one.
Well, hey, if you marry them, you still get to bang them.
No, that's not the rules of the game.
You don't get to.
There's no sex in the marriage.
Are you talking from personal experience right now?
No, actually, that's a whole nother podcast where you have to get me against. No, I'm very open with the relationship, but the game is that you're only married to them. That's the whole. Yeah, you can't. You only can bang the one you want to bang.
Well, I'd rather bang I, Tonya then.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, did you see them? They're gorgeous.
No, it's a sad story. It's a sad story. Sad.
I couldn't pay attention to the story. I was just like,
oh.
They're all technically sad stories.
Sad story.
What's sad is the fact that something that happened in my youth is now a history.
Yeah.
Now
Oscar nominated.
Yeah, but you feel it's like our age is becoming historical events are passing now. Like the 90s are now the 80s. I'm like, I was a kid then. No. That's fine. We're all. But anyways, that's what But all right, so before we go, social media, Twitter, where can we find you? What else are you doing? Any other projects you're working on?
Right now, I am just focused on figuring out what I want my next project to be. I'm being pretty darn selective, and I'm focusing on.
If you want the book.
Letting the book get out into the world.
It's on sale.
well, actually,
in case I haven't plugged that in.
And then
you like the book today.
And like
No, this show is so broke. No. Not in the budget.
So that's social media. So I was late in the game on social media, and then I had people pretending to be me, so that was interesting. So
Wait, did you pay them to be you, or they were just lying?
I was like on General Hospital at the time, and like people were like, "I'm at Target." I'm like, what? Why would I be at Target tweeting about being at Target? I don't know. Like, sales recs suck, or I don't know. Like, anyway. So anyway, my Instagram is at Brianna, and it's with 2 N's .Brown __. And then my Twitter is at Brown Brianna. And then my official website is Brianna-Brown.com.
Nice.
Yes, a little bit.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, guys.
Applause, everyone.
So I think I would have done that.
thank you so much. I know we went over, but you gave
us a lot.
But I also feel it's important. As a woman who's been in this town since 19, I mean, it's important for them to know.
And being 21, I've learned a lot.
In your 3 years, it's been amazing.
I learned so much.
You want to play us out, Landis?
I will play you out. And everyone, again, and to the audience, thank you for coming.
Thank you, audience.
That's what I'm doing. Okay, that's it. Now I got so that's kind of what I've done. So, because I've sang at different benefits. I've sang at, some of the women in the New Hollywood have like a lot of Broadway.
Hey guys, it's Jorge.
And Veronica.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes and tell your friends.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Hurry LA Podcast, where you can find pics and details for our live events.
And be on the lookout for our next episode with guest Jake Allen, star of BET's The Quad.
And if you're in the LA area, join us for our next live show, February 23rd. Details to come.
Breast cancer. So I think, or not, to help prevent breast cancer. But so I think getting involved in that sort of way is, a good way to be able to still focus on things that will make a living, so that you're not like totally booked out. Now that being said, like there are certain times in the year where it's smart to be like, you know what, I just need to soak it up and like focus for a month and be on a play. But during pilot season is not usually one of them.
Yeah.
If you're going out. If you're not going out, then you got to figure out like what do you need to be doing there in that time. And so it is kind of just depend. It just kind of depends on where you're at with your career. But does that kind of?
Yes.
So if I were you, I would say like, how can I do things at open mics, or how can I put something together with friends of like-minded caliber? How can I make there be a give back aspect, so it's something bigger than ourselves, and it's not a showcase. No one wants to go to a showcase.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Well, now we have a couple of regular segments. You guys want to explain it?
We got a couple of regular segments that we do on the show. Just a couple of little fun games so that we do end on a high note.
Okay.
The first one, you get to have 90 seconds with your own personal stalker.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got a jingle.
We have a jingle for it, too.
I am Candy. Can I smell your hair? Can I wear it? I want to be you. I found your house. Can I smell your hair? Can I smell your hair? Can I wear it? I am Candy. With the K. Stop it. I'm safe.
So hi, I'm Candy, as you could totally tell, and that's how you spell my name. It's K-A-N-N-D-I-E. Make sure you remember both N's, okay, whenever you're spelling it. Anyway, first, I wanted to take the opportunity to say I absolutely love you. I love what you represent. I love your hair. I mean, you have this beautiful package, but inside you have the prettiest heart, because you're just teaching love. You're teaching love to all of us, and for the past, 2-ish hours, you have just been pouring into us so we could be better people and help pay it forward. So just thank you so much for that. But I also wanted to share with everybody else the couple of times that I was digging around to try to find stuff about you.
In her trash cans.
Stop it. So I have to say one of my favorite things was in True Blood. You were the telepathic fairy, Lita, which, to be honest, she was the best part of the entire show. I mean, nobody really cares about Ted and Sokka.
Whoa. Okay, no.
Ted and Sokka.
Suki.
The late Sokka. Isn't that what I said? That's what I said. Ted and Sokka. But you were the reason to watch the show.
No.
So thank you so much for just pushing that forward. And she was amazing. And I got stills and their posters and they're framed in my room, and it's fantastic. The other thing that I found was one of the first movies I'd ever seen you in ever was the Mystery Museum, The Search of the Jewel of Polaris. It is amazing. It has everything you could possibly want. It's got children adventures. It's got paintings that you could just jump into a magical world, and there's little gems everywhere, and you got to play with AJ Troff, who is Twitty from Even Stevens, and that just spoke right to my heart. And so I just wanted to say thank you for being who you are and for being on our show.
Amazing.
90 seconds of yourself.
Oh, it gets creepier every time.
Yeah, it does. A little creepy.
Drinking game.
All right.
So this other one, this is a fun one that I find myself playing on set all the time. You probably played it a few times when you're like sitting in the chairs and you're kind of bored. Take it away, Landis.
All right, here we go.
This is Luther, and this is Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills, Maribang Kills.
With the top 3 of IMDb.
Hush your mouth, Trick.
I know you did not just call me a trick.
So we're playing Maribang Kills, but we're playing it a little bit differently. Instead of objectifying people, we're objectifying movies. And our choices right now, if we were to personify the Oscar movies, the Oscar-nominated movies right now, would you marry, bang, or kill Get Out, I, Tonya, or
The Shape of Water?
The Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Landis will go first.
All right, I will bang the hell out of The Shape of Water. I want that threesome. I want to be between the fish, the mermaid, and me. I'm just going to say that. Marry I, Tonya, because, God, that's a sad story. That was sad. She needs love. And kill Get Out, because that's my personal hell. Like, I would kill me if that happens to me. Yeah, don't mess with my mind. But those are my top 3.
All right. Right.
See, I would probably marry The Shape of Water because the whole fantasy aspect of it all. And I mean, magic and love conquers all type deal. So yeah, definitely marry Shape of Water.
But a hot fish. Have you seen his body? Damn.
I love what's on the inside.
And is it even gay if
Not on
he's
the
a
outside.
fish? What is that?
I'm just saying, it's a magical story.
I lost respect for you.
It's like Beauty and the Beast. Like, she loved the inner man, not the outer shell.
He was literally a monster.
He's literally a monster.
Literally.
Anyway. All right, so marry Shape of Water. I would probably bang Get Out. Because, like, of all of the high-intensity emotions all over the place. So,
wow, that would be a roller coaster.
Right? It would be a roller coaster.
That would be yeah.
There would not be a moment of, like, I don't know if I'm interested or entertained today. It's like, no, high emotions and adrenaline. And then kill I, Tonya, because, I mean, put her out of her misery.
But why?
The pain.
Why?
Like, all over the place. Just quick death, like, done, go on to a better place.
So you want to have a relationship with a guy stuck in his brain, but you want to murder the poor innocent girl who got abused all her life?
She wasn't stuck in a tank of, like, water. She got to go out and do things and make life choices. She experienced things.
I'm done with it.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
would you like to take it away?
I have to say, I think yours sound really good. So I'm being kind of a copycat because I haven't seen Signs of Water yet, but I liked your version of that. And then Get Out. Yeah, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. And then Mary, yeah, you feel bad for her. You want her to just feel better. Yeah. So I get that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there you go.
Two smart people in the group.
Mary to heal.
All right.
Mary to heal.
Mary to heal. All right. Well, yeah. I get. Well, here's the thing with I, Tonya. As I was watching it, I was thinking, wow. Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan are really good looking to be playing these roles.
They are.
They're too good looking to be playing those characters. I'm like, it took me out of the freaking movie. I'm just gonna bang them because they're just so good looking. They're just banging all the way. I might have to marry The Shape of Water, I guess, because those are my choices, and Get Out scares the hell out of me. I don't want to be. I don't want to go into the sunken place.
Yeah, you don't want a white man controlling your body while you're in hell. Like,
no. I mean, I felt like I've been told that I sound like a white man on the phone.
You do have that voice.
Yeah, I do have that voice. I get that.
Especially when you open with "I'm George."
Hi, this is George. Welcome to Scott's Adita Acting Studio.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So this guy's short and Hispanic.
Wait. He's brown. You don't sound brown. So yeah, I guess I would marry Shape of Water, and well, I mean. You got a fish and a meat girl?
Listen, I'm just saying.
It's going to be a very quiet house. At least it'll be a quiet house.
Yeah. I guess I'm the only adventurous one.
Well, hey, if you marry them, you still get to bang them.
No, that's not the rules of the game.
You don't get to.
No, you're just
there's
married.
No sex in
that's
the
the rules of the game.
Are you talking from personal experience right now?
No, actually, that's a whole nother podcast where you have to get me again. But no, I'm very open to relationships. But the game is that you're only married to them. That's the whole thing. Yeah, you can't. You only can bang the one that you want to bang.
Well, I'd rather bang Aitanya then.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, did you see them? They're gorgeous.
No, it's a sad story. It's a sad story. Sad story.
I couldn't pay attention to the story. I was just like,
oh.
They're all technically sad stories.
Sad story.
What's sad is the fact that something that happened in my youth is now a history movie.
Yeah.
Is now
Oscar nominated.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but you feel it's like our age is becoming historical events are passing now. Like the 90s are now the 80s. I'm like, I was a kid there. No. Fine world. But anyways, that's
it'll happen to you too someday.
Downer. But all right, so before we go, social media, Twitter, where can we find you? What else are you doing? Any other projects you're working on?
Right now, I am just focused on figuring out what I want my next project to be. I'm being pretty darn selective, and I'm focusing on, letting my book get out into the world at this moment.
On sale.
That's it.
In case I haven't plugged that enough.
You're hilarious.
Manifesting your mission.
Manifesting your mission. And
look under your seats.
You get a budget.
No, this show is so broke. No.
We can't afford that.
Not in the budget. No.
So that's social media. Yeah. So I was late in the game on social media, and then I had people pretending to be me, so that was interesting.
Perfect.
So
Wait, did you pay them to be you, or they were just lying?
I was like on General Hospital at the time, and like people were like, "I'm at Target." I'm like, "What? Why would I be at Target tweeting about being at Target?"
I'm definitely on set.
I don't know, sales recs suck, or I don't know. Like anyway, so anyway, I my Instagram is at Brianna, and it's with 2 N's .Brown __. And then my Twitter is at Brown Brianna, and then my official website is Brianna-Brown.com.
Nice.
Yay!
Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
Well, thank you guys.
Big applause, everyone. Thank you so much. I know we went over, but you gave us a lot. But I also feel it's important. As a woman who's been in this town since 19, I mean, it's important for them to know.
And being 21, I've learned a lot.
Exactly.
In your 3 years, it's been amazing.
I learned so much.
You want to play us out, Landis?
I will play you out. And everyone, again, and to the audience, thank you for coming.
Thank you, audience. Our aim is, and we hope you keep coming back.
Yep.
All right, learn something.
Thank you so much.
Hope you freaking learned something. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Jorge.
And Veronica.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes and tell your friends.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at HurryLA Podcast, where you can find pics and details for our live events.
And be on the lookout for our next episode with guest Jake Allen, star of BET's The Quad.
And if you're in the LA area, join us for our next live show, February 23rd. Details to come.